listening to the Ice Prep Podcast. Here's your hosts, Bryan and Pat.
Pat looking like a Muppet in the background there, waving back and forth.
Doing my best Muppet.
I was cutting back and forth between the splash screen and our cameras. Pat can't see what everything looks like, which is kind of half the fun of this for me. And I don't think I saw him going, wah, wah. So it's like, we'll keep it there. It's entertaining. Yeah. Hi, welcome to Season 2. We decided to take a bit of a summer break because it was like, we're busy. And then we're busy. And so it was like, you know what? Let's just take the summer off. Why not? We can. I think we both got up to like nothing happened.
What do you mean nothing happened?
I mean, Pat may or may not have seen the Stanley Cup in person.
Yeah, I was like 2 feet away from it. Like I almost touched Kadri's arm. He was beside me. That's so cool.
Pat got so close that he was like, I'm going to Calgary.
No, nothing could do that. I think we both really kind of needed a bit of a break, both of like work, because I think we both went on road trips.
I just got back from mine on Sunday. We can get into that in a sec here if you want.
Yeah, no, but we both just kind of needed a breather. I know that we were kind of talking about maybe we could talk about other things, but I think we both realized we were tired. We have jobs outside of this, and we were both very, very tired and just kind of needed to hit pause for a sec and just enjoy the summer. So hopefully everybody listening also enjoyed the summer because it is officially done now. So what a perfect time to come back in.
I think literally as of like 1 minute ago, we're officially in fall. I think it was a 9:21. I can't remember. I might be pulling that out of my butt. But not only for work, doing some traveling, I kind of was unable because I was taking 3 summer courses for university, and there was some overlap, so I was busy. I would get home from work, I would help put the kids to bed, then I'd sit where I am now for a couple hours and then go to bed and rinse repeat. And I'm doing that again now with back to Western full-time. Well, not full-time, it's like part-time, but it's fun though. Full-time. It's part-time, full-time, as much as I can handle with work and kids and a family.
Yeah, responsibilities. I went on a road trip as well. I know you went to Myrtle Beach, which we'll get into in a sec. I went up to where the draft was. I decided I was going to drive to the draft, and then I turned out I was like 4 weeks late. No, I knew it was done. But no, took a bit of a road trip, saw a bunch of stuff inside Ontario, a little bit in Montreal. It was the first time I've been to Montreal since I was like 16. So because I went there on a band trip, which is really, really different when you're kind of told like, we're going to go on a walking tour of the ghosts, and instead of like, let's go to a pub. So,
which you almost could have at that age.
Yeah, actually, that's the reason why my high school never went back to Montreal, because they realized once they got there, the 18-year-olds that were doing the victory lap could drink, and they did a lot. So, it was a lot of fun. And then I had a wedding that I went to that was incredible. It was one of the most beautiful weddings I've ever seen, and just, really kind of tried to take it as easy as possible. It was a nice and pretty relaxing summer, which is not often I say that. So Brian, how was your trip?
That's good that you were able to do that. My trip was good. It was very needed. I have never been to Myrtle Beach in my life, so that was a lot of fun doing that. I will say things that were not fun. The drive there, which we split into 2. So we left I finished work at 7 o'clock, so we left here we were on the 401 by 7:49. My wife had everything packed, ready to go, good to go, problem-free. We drove, I would like to point out, Ohio is like the Ontario of the States. It just goes on forever. It's honestly like 5+ hours to get through that state, depending on what you're doing. So it's 2 a.m., we're in Columbus, and we can't drive anymore. Found a hotel, stayed the night. Except my daughter woke up and wouldn't fall back to sleep at 2:30 in the morning. So I essentially stayed up. My wife got more sleep. We leave Columbus at 7:30, get to where we were at like 9:30, 10 at night, because you have to stop. We had rain the whole way through West Virginia. Played, I sent you a picture of literally getting into West Virginia. Only played the song once each way, by the way.
Oh, okay. That you sent me the picture, and my response was almost heaven.
Something fun if you ever go that way, Pat. If you take the turnpike, on all of the tolls, they actually have like different song lyrics from that song everywhere, which is really cool.
Great.
Yeah,
I
down Myrtle Beach for a week, just south of it. Went with the in-laws. I want to go back now. It was awesome. And then the dumb thing that we did, we left Saturday morning at 10 a.m. We arrived home Sunday at 6 a.m. We didn't stop. Well, obviously we had to take breaks, but it was there was no hotels in Ohio, or it was like $300. So we were like, you know what? Let's just drive through. And that 5 hours of Ohio on the other way, it's so much more boring. The only thing was looking at Google being like, okay, so we're 2 hours from the border, so that means we're 4 hours from home. It's closer. That was the only thing, but it was so much fun. I'll have to show you some pictures later because I was sending you a few throughout, but it was a fun trip. It was a fun trip. I needed it.
Good. Yeah. No, you guys have been going all in. Like the fact that you've been doing school and work, and you have the 2 kids. I mean, and they're young. Like, because the one is coming up to a year. Did she just hit a year, or she's almost a year?
She is under a month from a year right now.
Okay.
And
good.
then
I'm horrific with dates, names, and just general memory. So
yeah, so
I'm
I have
really glad that I wasn't far off.
I have an 11-month-old and a 2.5-year-old. For those who are like, oh wow, that's yeah. We had 2 under 2 in the pandemic.
Yeah, and you moved like a week before the first one, so
yeah, that I don't even know if that's a story for another time. That's like Pat's never seen the inside of my house.
No, I did. I saw it a couple times. Remember?
Oh yeah, you stepped in for like half a second.
No, we had like a dinner there.
Oh yeah, I forgot. That's the pandemic. I forgot we had you guys over. That was just after she was born because your wife was doing baby cuddles.
Yeah, and that was really the first time I'd seen your house.
You have been over once. Jeez.
Yeah, but that was pretty much the only time I saw your place, and you moved in April of 2020, and that was
March of 2020. Yeah.
Oh, that was April. Oh yeah.
Just before. Yeah, like
right.
A week before we moved in, the lockdown hit, and every single day we were calling our moving company being like, "Are you essential?" They're like, "We don't know."
Yeah.
So
I know we had to move as well. Like we had to move a bunch of our stuff into storage and then move into the place that we're currently at right now. And yeah, it was not fun. It was awful. We had to hire a moving company twice. And we're like, can you come and do this? And they're like, we don't know. I guess we will. Hopefully we don't get in trouble. Like awful, not fun. But you know what is fun? Hockey.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure where you were going with that. By the way, for those who are watching right now, Pat hasn't done something that he promised to do.
Yeah, because they haven't raised the banner yet.
Oh, I guess so. So you've still got some time.
Yeah.
Okay.
The day. So for those that are those playing at home, I have a Colorado Avalanche.
Coors Light banner.
Thing. It's a Coors Light banner I got from a thrift shop because it's impossible to find Colorado stuff up here.
Except you've Macklemored the heck out of some Colorado stuff up here.
Yeah.
Your jacket.
Course. Yeah, my jacket. I have like a $300 to $400 like really nice winter jacket I found for $25 at a Goodwill. Just amazing. I can't I'm normally not the type of person to be like, look how much money I spent on this, but I'm like, this is incredible. So I found an old Canucks jersey there. I found this. I have one for Bryan, but I haven't seen him in like 6 years. So,
surprise, apparently. Yes.
Right?
Anyway, hockey.
Hockey.
I guess we can get to hockey Because we're
so
what?
much stuff has happened.
Like 19 days away from preseason, I believe, right now. No, 19 days away from the hockey season starting.
Yeah, preseason's real soon.
Yeah, preseason is, I think this weekend, because I got a work email about if we wanted to do preseason games, and I was like, it's still set. Oh, okay, yep. I guess I lost a week here.
Yeah, it's wild. I can't believe that we're already back to hockey. I feel like this just happened, the Stanley Cup. Like, I feel like I just watched that happen. I mean, granted, yes, I've watched the video about 422 times since, but
It was kind of forever ago now when you think about it.
yeah, it feels like ages. And just the thought of, and like before we get into pretty much what we have scheduled on our sheet of notes, the one thing that like I keep thinking about is it flew by for me. And I feel so bad for the cup winners every year. They have 3 months, not even, to really really enjoy it. Man,
And
that's
recover.
tough. That's a tough. Yeah.
Like, Tampa's got it even worse because they had 2 years in a row of cup wins with the shortened offseason. This year they've got the loss. So, I mean, any interview that I've heard from those players from either team, they sound like it's going to be repeat in the final between them. So,
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of the analysts are saying. They're favoring Colorado as the number one, and the number two is still Tampa. Which, good for Tampa. Holy, I can't believe that.
after they spent what was it, like $200 million over the course of 5 minutes in the summer, which I think we talked about at the end of season one.
Something like that. It was crazy.
Do you want to rip through these quick? Just kind of some of the big stuff that's happened for anybody who's like, you know what? I took the summer off too. I have no idea.
Well, so much crap has happened. Obviously, we've got the right. I forgot how to censor. At work, I'm allowed to swear. On here, I probably shouldn't. So we have the draft, bringing in all the rookies. Then we had signings, which we're not really going to talk about. And then we have all the free agency. So the draft and the free agency, for the most part, were the big two. And holy, so much happened. I'm going through the ones that were like heavy hitters, and I made a list of them. I probably got most of them. I was pulling from ESPN, and their stuff seemed kind of incomplete. Like, they didn't even have anything about Johnny Goudreau. Right? Come on. Right, it was one of the bigger ones, but anyway.
Was like number 1 or number 2, depending on who you ask.
Exactly. So, Calgary. I'm starting there because it's important, because holy crap, did they do a lot. They shipped out Sean Monahan, which was just a dead contract, pretty much. He was doing nothing for the team. They shipped out Goudreau to Columbus, and they shipped
No, they didn't ship him out. He left. He signed in Columbus.
Okay, so
that's
shipped out's
the
wrong
difference.
word. The people they lost, Monahan, Goudreau, and Tkachuk. Tkachuk is now in Florida. They got Huberdeau, Kadri, Mackenzie Weegar, Rooney, which doesn't seem like a lot, but he is a good depth player, and Milano, which was this long time sitting waiting for somebody to sign him. He's on there for a PTO, which is wild. I can't believe that he didn't go anywhere else.
There's got to be something, or who knows what. And for those that missed it, yes, Tkachuk traded to Florida. That's how they ended up with Huberdeau and Weegar, which is absolutely ridiculous. That we've talked about this. I've talked about it with my neighbor who works with Kadri's sister. I think I mentioned that before.
Yep.
Calgary is a better team. They just aged up by a couple years. Like, their window is shorter now, but honestly, they're the best team on defense in the league. And they traded a 100-point player for a 100-point player and got Kadri. So, I mean, Calgary be scary.
They didn't lose the grit with bringing in Kadri. Like, everyone was just like, oh no, they lost the grit with Tkachuk. No, Kadri's now there. He can lay the hits. He can be the pest, just like Tkachuk was. Draw the penalties as long as he sticks to what he did last season.
And with Cassian no longer the Battle of Alberta, even better for them.
Exactly.
Okay,
so
next.
We can keep talking about that a lot, but there are 32 teams, and I think I have about 20 of them on this list. So then we've got New Jersey. New Jersey, they lost Subban because he retired, unfortunately, pretty early. Good career for him. Congratulations, but he's got a hell of a career coming up outside of hockey,
you'll
but
see
still
him,
part of hockey.
You'll see him everywhere.
Yeah, he's done a good job of giving himself for life job.
Oh yeah.
So Subban and Zaka, those guys are out, as well as Bratt.
Well, he's unsigned, so
yeah,
the signing should happen. It will come here hopefully before. You'd like him at all at training camp, but you just never know.
Exactly.
And then the big ads, the signing Andre Palat, 2-time Stanley Cup champion, getting Vitek Vanacek, the goalie that kept getting waived, and then Washington got him back. So Seattle took him in the draft, and then Washington got him back, and then now he's a Devil, and for the Zaka trade, Eric Holla coming back, Boston. So that one I liked.
Yeah, and honestly, and we're just going to stop on the New Jersey for a second, then hopefully we get through the rest pretty quick.
Yeah, we'll just...
with Vanacek, I actually really like that scoop. That's smart. I think that a Blackwood Vanacek 1-2 is actually a really good combo. I think that's a really good pairing, personally, so that's good.
We'll see what happens.
Exactly. Montreal was busy. So first off, they selected... Slavkovsky. I don't know. I've been talking about him on here for a little bit. I'm really excited about that pick. I think that he's going to be a really interesting player there. But they pretty much they got rid of or lost Shea Weber. His contract at least is now in Las Vegas. They traded Romanov to New York Islanders, as well as Paling and Petrie. Those guys are gone. They picked up Dadonov with the Weber trade, which is a good scoop. Kirby Doc, Sean Monahan, and Mike Matheson, really good. Like, they picked up a decent amount of good players.
You're missing something big on this list from Montreal, Pat. No Carey Price.
Oh yeah, but Carey Price wasn't there last year either. So
yeah, and they don't get to the playoffs without Carey Price. So
well, they're not going to get to the playoffs.
No. Of all the Canadian teams, Montreal did a lot. Ottawa is the team that look out everybody. I know there's so many Leaf fans that are like, "Oh, it's Ottawa." They are scary. So they get rid of Colin White, Gustafson, and Matt Murray. We can talk about where he goes because I'm sure you have it on the list.
Gustafson, the goalie, just so everyone who's listening knows, he went to Minnesota.
They get DeBrincat from Chicago, which was like, are you kidding me?
Huge.
They win the Claude Giroux sweepstakes. He signs for 2 or 3 years, which is going to be...
I think, yeah.
Their second line is one of the best second lines in the league. Tyler Mott, Brassard, DeCole, and Cam Talbot is their new goalie, which is just... The upgrade that Ottawa did in net is ridiculous. Like, I would take Cam Talbot over Matt Murray any day of the week. The way
Cam
that
Talbot's really streaky.
He's streaky,
real
but
streaky.
We just don't know what type of Matt Murray is going to show up. And then, of course, Ottawa also signed Stützle to the big long deal. And there's still some stuff with training camp that we're waiting to hear because that's all involving apparently Hockey Canada. So we're going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, and Brandstrom. He's a defender that I'm really excited about in the league. I don't think enough people are talking about him. He's a fantastic defenseman. He's short, but he's quick. He's powerful. He goes into the corners. He kind of reminds me of kind of like a Kmart Cale Makar. So Anaheim, they lost Sonny Milano. Like that kid. Troy Terry, screw him. And Getzlaff, which was last year anyway because he retired. But I didn't actually have this on here. And then I remembered. I was like, oh, yeah, they picked up one of the Stroms. They picked up Klingberg, which I completely forgot about.
Well, that's because Klingberg's agent screwed over Klingberg, so that's why that one happened. Carolina,
he's on the team.
Carolina had one heck of an offseason. They get Brent Burns, they get Max Pacioretty for free, and they also pick up Paul Stastny, which Pat, I guess, misspelled on the notes there.
Yeah.
And Stastny will be like all of those additions for Carolina are great. What?
Well, Patches is out.
Oh yeah, he's injured. So I mean, for
he's
them,
on LTIR. So Vegas gave away free cap space.
They
cap space.
I think because of Weber and
Leonard.
Leonard, because you can only have a certain amount of LTIR. I think that they would have actually been near the point, especially with Stone being unsure. So Stanley Cup champions, get rid of Darcy Kemper, get rid of Burakovsky, get rid of Abe Kubel, Jack Johnson, and I really like your new goalie, one of your new forwards, and the other one is we'll see if he gets the PTO actually signed.
Yeah, so, I mean, they picked up other people too, but these are the 3 ones. Georgiev. I've always been kind of a fan of Georgiev since I saw him playing. He's a unique player, but when you think about the 1A, 1B of Francouz and Georgiev, that is a solid 1A, 1B, although I do have a question for you, Brian, later when we get there.
Okay.
Evan Rodriguez, again, that's another sweepstakes. A lot of people were kind of poking around trying to see, hey, can we get him? Can we get him? Can we get him? And he decided to go with the reigning Stanley Cup champions. So that is really cool to see. And then actually Alex Galchenyuk, maybe this is the team that can make him a reclamation project.
I want to see him succeed.
He's been 11.
I want to see him succeed, honestly.
I really do. I feel
he's
so
one
bad
of those
for that
players.
kid. Yeah, it's just he's got the talent, but it's in his head. So hopefully everything works out well there. I'm pretty happy with what Colorado did. I think that we won't see too much regression, minus Landeskog being out for a while. Same with Nichushkin because they're both still injured. So
next off to Dallas. Obviously, they don't have Klingberg anymore. They still haven't locked in Jason Robertson, though they did add Mason Marchment and former New Jersey Devil Will Butcher, who is one of those players that won't he be good? We just don't know.
Mason Marchment was a sneaky good scoop. He went for so cheap. I can't believe he decided to go there personally. That's a wild one. He came from Florida, and they could have. Anyway, next up, Detroit. Detroit also did really well. Ville Husso, the goalie from St. Louis, which was their starter because Binnington's not good. Screw him. Andrew Kopp, Olimata, Andrew Lyon for a backup, Hag and Pissick. So they added a lot of age, a lot of strength, a lot of talent with Kopp. Olimata is decent, but they did some really smart moves.
Isn't that where Petrie went?
Maybe. I can't remember where Petrie ran. I don't know. I was doing this so quick, and I should have been working. Then
Fair
from
enough.
there, we'll go to Edmonton.
The Edmonton Maple Leafs.
Yeah. So the big one that they got rid of was Cassian. Who cares? He's with
the Yotes for anybody who cares.
Yeah, where players go to end their careers because nobody wants them anymore. It's not the Island of Misfit Toys. It's the drawer that your parents had where they would throw all the broken stuff, and they'd say, "Yeah, no, it's the fix it drawer. I'll fix it tomorrow. I'll get the glue and I'll fix it." And then 6 years later, it's full of GI Joes with one arm.
I have 2 of those drawers.
Right, exactly. That's Arizona in a nutshell. But so they signed Jack Campbell from Toronto, Matthias Janmark, and a sexual predator. So that's pretty cool for them that they have an abuser and a sexual predator on one team. That's really neat. Anyways,
and that's all we'll say about them. Florida,
Jake Virtanen.
Yes,
that's it.
Florida, they obviously lost Huberdeau, they lost Uyghur, they lost Marchment. 2 of those with the trade to Calgary. They get Colin White, Nick Cousins, Del Zotto, Tierney, and obviously the big one, Matt Tkachuk. Though still with Florida, I honestly feel like they're praying Bobrovsky goes on LTIR because they are tied up on the cap there. They should still make the playoffs, but honestly, the Atlantic is crazy. Who knows?
Too good.
Minnesota forced to make a bunch of moves because obviously cap hell starts this year. They lose Fiala. Yep. I wanted him. Goes to LA. Cam Talbot leaves.
Kevin Fiala for those. Yes. Sorry.
Dmitry Kulikov, right?
Yep.
And then they get Sam Steele and some players.
Yeah, a bunch of third liners. I don't know. I just wanted to put it on there because it makes me happy that Minnesota had to fire sale their team.
Looking at Nashville, is there the Cody Glass maybe because wasn't that the first player that played for Vegas or something like that?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So Nashville didn't really do a lot.
They got a lot of depth players. Oh, and Niederreiter.
Yeah, they got names. Islanders got Romanov, and then Lou forced him to shave his little beard and get a haircut.
literally nothing else. And then they signed their already like 95-year-old defenseman to be like, would you like to play 5 more years? Like,
Rangers lost Kopp. They lost Nemeth. They got Halak and Trocheck. The Trocheck one was, I still can't believe he got paid that much. To me, that's ridiculous. Yeah. And then Leafs obviously losing Campbell. Mikheyev, Spezza retiring. Rasmus Sandin still not signed. As well, Leafs running into issues that they've got some injuries that could plague them. Muzzin, Engvall, and Liljegren are all injured right now, and I believe Liljegren is going to start the season on LTIR. But obviously, they do get Ilya Samsonov, and he, in talking media day, was basically like, I had offers elsewhere for more money for more years, but I wanted to go to Toronto. So
because of one player.
I don't know who that is.
He said because of Yarncrook. He convinced him to go to Toronto.
And so Calle Yarncrook was with Seattle in the expansion draft. That was Marshall Lynch calling him your boy Calle because he couldn't pronounce his last name, which I don't blame him for. Calgary picked him up. Leafs get him now. Abe Kubel, he's gone from a team that can dent a cup to one that will never see it.
You know, that's his penance. He's going to Toronto because he dented the cup, so he will never win the cup again.
He gets to be taunted because at restful time, like less than a kilometer from where the arena is. Victor Mete goes to the Leafs. Jordy Ben, Matt Murray. So there was the swap there from Ottawa, and Zach Austin Reese on a PTO.
Before we get into the last one, my question that I was holding on to, which goalie tandem would you prefer? Pavel Francouz and Georgiev, or Matt Murray and Ilya Samsonov?
Right now, I'm saying the Avs one. I have the feeling by the time we get to game 40, 50, and those reps start to come in, that answer could be completely swapped. Because I was talking to my father-in-law, I was talking to a coworker. All Murray has to do, or all Samsonov has to do, is put up a 905 or 910, and they're going to look ridiculous. Most other teams, a goalie has to do like 915, 920 to do that.
Yeah.
Colorado can outscore their problems, but they're going to have more issues trying to get that second line center going.
Well, I mean, they have a lot of options.
Like they have options, but it's like a downgrade, but it happens.
Yeah. For me, I would actually choose those Matt Murray and Samsonov too as well, because both of them have done starter roles.
One's got a cup as a starter.
They can play the extended periods of time. Francouz has been a career backup. Georgiev, for the most part, has been a career backup. So they can split time and they can do 40 games each, but that's probably 10 to 15 games more than they're used to. So it's going to be interesting.
That is one of the 3 goalie tandems that I am most interested in. And funny enough, your team and my team are the other 2. Vancouver, the only one on there that's interesting, looking at your notes, is Mikheyev. That's where he goes. They also re-signed JT Miller to an 8-year deal, which I'm sure when you saw that, you were like, why? But
nah, I didn't really care. I think he's overhyped. I think he had one good season, and he's going to regress pretty hard.
Oh, at the end of that contract's going to look bad, but that's most... It's the same thing with Kadri's contract. It'll look good for the first 4 or 5 years, then you're like, and you just hope that there's a cup in that time. So that's kind of the big stuff that's happened. There's obviously more, but who cares?
Yeah, and again, we probably missed a bunch of even big names moving, but there was so much stuff that happened.
Chara retired, signed a 1-day contract with the Bruins. Duncan Keith retired as well. So, and apparently the NHL is going to make it so that Chicago doesn't get royally screwed from that because, hey, it's the NHL. They make up their own rules.
Love Chicago.
Yes. You've got a fancy thing here that I can see that if I would have set up, I could have made people see, but I'm not going to mess with that. Off-season or just questions. So let's...
Yeah.
I'm going to not look at this because it's more fun when I can't, look at things here.
No worries. So more or less, I whipped up a whole bunch of questions. probably questions that you've heard asked online a whole bunch. Everybody's asking them. But before we go in, Brian, what would your goal song be?
Oh,
Look at that wrench I just threw at you.
yeah, I wasn't expecting this one at all. A goal song, if I had one. Give me a minute and I'll get back to you. Do you have one, Pat, since you've had time to think on this?
Shots by Lil Jon. No, I guess that's not Lil Jon, but like he's the one that screams it. No, I haven't really like fully thought about it. It would probably be something really stupid though, because I think that's far more fun than like a serious song. Like when I hear in baseball somebody has like a serious walk-up song, I'm like, get over yourself. Like for me, I'd probably
what's
do
his
like
face is walking out to Let It Go right now, which is just hilarious.
Exactly. You know, have fun with it.
Do you know what I want mine to be?
I feel like a woman, because the entire audience would erupt every single time.
That's why I have one of two songs, either Sweet Caroline or Country Roads Take Me Home. Either one. Just every single time you score, you know you're going to get that serenade.
Oh, actually, sorry. No, I did think about this, and it was Oops, I Did It Again, because
I can't believe I scored.
Not only is it just a middle finger to the team.
Could you imagine if that was like Matthews one? How many times that? Oh, Leafs,
just goes,
please.
That's how it starts. Come on.
No, you know, if it was if Toronto did that, both Matthews and Marner would be a Bieber song.
Yeah. Boo. Anyway, that was not on the list. That's just kind of a fun one. I think that's kind of fun. Like, think about what you like for everybody that's listening. Just think about what your goal song would be if you had to choose one. Like, would you go the serious route? Oop, hit my mic. Would you go the serious route? Would you go with like your favorite song at the time, or would you go for something silly and stupid like me? So, yeah. All right. So the questions I'm going to be asking, there's kind of twofold. So you've got kind of off-season focus and going into the season a bit, and then way too early projections. So let's start with the off-season-ish ones. So first question, Brian, to you, which team were the winners of the off-season?
Calgary Flames. They were the biggest loser, and then they were the biggest winner, without question. There was it was a 2-week span where we were like, well, I guess Calgary's going for Bedard, and then it was like, well, I guess Calgary is battling Edmonton for the Pacific.
Yep.
There was like it was a straight up like roller coaster.
For me, it was close, but I'm actually going to go with Ottawa. I think that Ottawa did a really good job of not only finding talent, but also finding young talent. That's the one reason I gave them the edge. You got DeBrincat, you've got, Giroux's not young, but you've got a whole bunch of other people that they brought in that were decently young outside of Talbot that are going to be there for a while and help them get better throughout the seasons. So I think that they did a good job too. So
plus bonus points, they're bringing back their Sens Community Cares Foundation and doing more things like that. So that's good news. All
it took was their general manager dying.
No, that was the owner. The general manager's still there.
Oh, right. Yes, I'm so sorry. I misspoke. Brian, who were the losers? Which team were the losers? Or which team or person were the losers of the offseason?
John Klingberg.
Ooh,
he lost, what was it, something like $30-odd million because his agent was greedy. Like, literally, that's what's come out. It's why he fired his agent. Dallas offered him a solid, long contract. He's in Anaheim, and he's never going to get a sniff at what that money was again.
Okay. For me, Vegas. Vegas as a whole, they have a lot of work they have to do to pretty much reclaim their fans. The casual fans, they pushed them away by the way that they lost and the way they and then because they forced Leonard to play those games when he shouldn't have played.
And he went on the record saying, I don't want to play. And they're like, you're going to play. And then he got injured more.
Yeah, so now he has to have like super surgery instead of just surgery. He's out for pretty much the whole season versus the start of the season. So they screwed themselves over there, then getting rid of Pacioretty for nothing, getting rid of Dadonov to get Shea Weber for LTIR. But if they just kept Pacioretty, that wouldn't have been an issue, and they could have just stupid. So hilarious to me. They are the biggest losers.
Yep, I see
Next
that.
up, what team do you see being the biggest improvement over last year? And think like in standings, not the overall players, but just who do you think is going to be the most improved based off of this year to next year?
Senators has to be. I mean, I know it's so tough in the East for any team to climb, but just looking where they were in the standings, they're only going up. The only other team that I could put close because they were beside them would be Detroit, but I think Ottawa is a year or two ahead. But at the same time, Detroit has two literal superstars that had rookie seasons, including the Rookie of the Year. So,
And they signed Marco Casper too, and he's supposed to be a hell of a player. So, and he's a young one. That was a recent draft. So
yeah, you probably won't see him for a few years because that's the way Yzerman doesn't like to rush the players in. But you never it's a very close toss up between those two, and I think it literally comes down to of those, which team has a goalie that can actually be consistent. Neither team had one last year.
So so you're saying
I'd put Ottawa over Detroit still.
Okay, so you're going to go with Ottawa. I'm going to say Anaheim.
I hard disagree.
No, but see, I think they're going to do better standings wise because they've made decent improvements. Nothing huge, but the people that they're going to be going up against
that's true.
aren't that great to begin with. So of course they're going to do better than them. They should. I could see them actually being like semi close to what the LA Kings did this year. Like they weren't far off last year, and then they were like, well, okay, let's get rid of it. So,
Anaheim's a year or two away from being scary.
Yeah,
and they're
going to be fantastic. Their depth, oh my goodness, their depth. I was looking at their rookies. They've got so many names on there that I'm like, oh, okay, I know those names because after 1 year of playing NHL 22, when it turns into 23, all of a sudden, here's these rookies that are demolishing me. I'm like, who are these kids? Half of them are from Anaheim. So, at least 20% of the kids that are ruining me in those games are probably going to turn into decent players. So that's the way I'm looking at it with them. All right. Vice versa on that one. Which team will see the biggest decline?
The biggest decline? I'm trying to think of playoff teams. Rangers.
Oh.
I don't see another Dominic Hasek level of save percent in a season. I think the Metro's stronger this year in general, even though obviously the superstars have aged up. The Rangers are not going to be where they were if they even make the playoffs this year. Honestly, that is one of my takes. They're a wild card team to me, so that could be a big drop.
Okay. For me, it's a toss-up between Florida and Minnesota.
I knew one was going to be Minnesota.
And that's not just because I hate them. That's they lost a lot of key pieces. They had to shuffle out people that were really important to the foundation of the team. And now they had to bring in whoever they could afford. So it might work. It may not. I feel like right now they are the definition of a wild card. Whereas Florida, as much as they brought in Tkachuk and they brought in other players, I don't think it's enough. And I think we're going to see them regress pretty hard since they were number one.
Yeah, in the league.
So I think that that's going to be the most noticeable drop.
Oh yeah,
of all of the teams. So
that's Florida's very good. I think probably the safe answer.
Yeah. So based on moves and just overall, what player is going to have their breakout year?
Jack Hughes.
Of course it's Jack Hughes.
Like, who else do you want me to say?
Uh,
He was set to be a 100-point player, gets injured twice. Like, he started the season as the best defensive forward in the league. And then injured, and you could tell that he was playing scared after that. He's stronger. He's bigger again this year. And, like, I mean, he lost one of his best friends that was his roommate on the team, but, man, it happens. He's got his new buddy in Dawson Mercer, so. And his brother's going to be on the team next year anyway.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah, sorry. I was thinking Zegers for some reason. I don't know. My brain's broken.
No, he did live with the Hughes over the summer, though.
That's true. Yeah, they were actually good friends, which makes complete sense.
Well, they played together on the United States Development Program, so.
And they just seem like they would be best friends. For me, this is a tough one. I think, and I feel like I'm gonna get shot for this. I think it's gonna be Tage Thompson for Buffalo. He just signed a ridiculous contract it's either gonna age horrifically.
It could be one of those like it could be like the Jake Skinner effect, like plays the first year with that contract and it just looks bad. Sorry, Jeff Skinner. And then that contract is starting to look not as bad now. So that's a good one. It just might be a year early on that prediction. But Buffalo's another team we haven't talked about. They took big steps.
They took big steps with small moves, and that's why they didn't end up on the list, because there wasn't anything that was like, holy crap, look what you've done. Because I looked at it and I was like, they did stuff. The only issue is they don't have a goaltender, so I don't think that's going to be the biggest issue. They don't have anybody in net except for Anderson, which the guy is like at least
Craig
75.
Anderson, not Freddie Anderson. And the one thing to keep in mind with Buffalo though is post trade deadline, they were a team that makes the playoffs.
Yep.
With no goaltending, so look out for Buffalo.
Yeah, and that's why I think Tage Thompson isn't a terrible one. It's like I feel like he's going to have sort of like the Olofsson effect that he had when he was on the power play. Tage Thompson is big, he's slow as hell, but he's a big guy, huge slap shot, 104 miles an hour. He's got power, and I think that's what's been lacking a bit in Buffalo is that power and that energy paired with Tuck. I think that's going to be a good combo. So I'm excited to see what Buffalo can do this year. All right. What player is going to flop then? Which one is they're going to get on the ice and it's just they're not going to meet expectations and then some?
Johnny Gaudreau.
Oh, I had to censor myself.
I heard that.
I was like, fudge. Why Goudreau? Why do you think?
He was a part of the best line in hockey. He will not have that caliber of player, and I think everybody was sleeping on how much Tkachuk and Goudreau just needed Lindholm to make them look that good. And I think without having Lindholm, I think that Goudreau, he's still going to put up, I'm going to say he'll still put up 60, 70 points, but that's a big regression from what he was signed for.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Who'd you think I was going to say?
I thought you were going to say like Byram.
Oh, no, at first my brain was thinking Zegras, just because I don't think Anaheim will be any better, but he did all that when Anaheim wasn't good in general, so.
Yeah, like he's just a very talented player. It's just he's passing. It was kind of like an issue with
succeed.
Yeah, it was kind of like Bedard though. I watched a highlight reel of his stuff, and he was like passing the unbelievable plays, and then nobody could finish.
Yeah.
So it's just like, cool. Here I am doing everything, and nobody can help me. So yeah, Goudreau, I think that's a good choice. I don't want to choose the same player. That's 100% where my mind was going, actually. Who's gonna flop? Oh, I don't want to say it.
I can give you a different one if you want.
No. I think Kadri. I think it's gonna be Kadri. I think last year was a fluke.
It was a fluke, yes, but
I don't think he's going to live up to the expectations of the contract that was given to him. And I think that he's going to be considered a flop simply because of that. I don't think he's going to do poorly. Again, with Goudreau. Goudreau signed for a lot. Kadri signed for a lot. I think that this year, Calgary is not going to do well.
Oh, I disagree.
Next year they're going to do so friggin' good because they made so many major changes and major culture changes too to the team. They lost major key pieces that were like the lifeblood of the team, and they brought in new people to be the lifeblood of the team, and they need to build that. So I feel like they're going to start really slow, and maybe by the end of the season they're going to be like really scary good, and next season they're going to be unstoppable. But I think that this year there was so many changes that it's going to be a bit of locker room mismatch. And and Kadri doesn't do well if there's a locker room mismatch. If he doesn't have a good winger, he's iffy.
Do you want to know why I disagree? Daryl Sutter.
I don't think he's that good.
This is what he does best, though, is bring teams together like this. Like he's done it with the Misfits, and he has one of his best teams, minus when he won it with LA, playing for him right now. Will Kadri regress? Absolutely, because he's not going to be able to get as many assists, or they'll be all secondary. Because Huberdeau is an assist machine, and don't expect Calgary's offense to slow down. Maybe that's part of his offseason, is getting a bit more of going in front of the net.
He's not going to be the 1C.
You never know what can happen.
I know. See, and that's why I don't think that he's going to live up to the expectations that have been set, because
he won't.
No, and that's why I think he's going to be the biggest flop in the eyes of everybody watching him. But I think Johnny Goudreau is going to be the one that's going to be the biggest disappointment for most teams.
Do I think Kadri still puts up 70 points? Easy.
No, I think he's going to hit maybe. I'm going to call 58 for him because he's going to get hurt again.
Mark that down.
I'm going to put 58. All right. What was the worst signing of the off season?
The worst? You may have to go first on this one, because here's the thing. I'm not looking at anything for any of this, so I've got to think. So if you want to go first on this one and give me a chance to think, that would be awesome.
Okay. So I'm going to go to Columbus. And Columbus made a couple signings. A couple of them were suspect.
Oh, I think I know who you're going to. No. Was it the defenseman? Yes, it was.
I'm going to say Johnny Goudreau. I think Johnny Goudreau is the most overrated hockey player in the NHL. He is a good hockey player. He is not a near $10 million a year hockey player.
And apparently the Devils offered him 11.
Exactly. He is going to be making $9.75 million for the next 8 years, was it? I think.
I'd take that over Seth Jones, though.
I wouldn't. I honestly think, and I hope he proves me wrong, because I actually have a soft spot for Columbus for some reason, even though Ohio is just hell.
Okay, it takes for it. Honestly, I knew it was a big state. It's 5 hours of straight boring, even when you're on the outskirts of Columbus, which the one nice thing about Ohio, while we're talking about it, they had probably the nicest roads out of any of the states that we drove through. Michigan was terrible. The worst drivers. It felt like we were in London. Ohio, you're like, okay, you can see the tax dollars at work because it's 2 a.m. Construction crews are out there getting the roads nice.
Yeah.
So you got that going for you, Ohio. Plus, you still have Tim Hortons.
True, but I will say Johnny Goudreau is a gross, both quantity and flavor, I suppose. Both meanings of the word gross. Overpayment. He is worth maybe $6.5 million. I would absolutely choose William Nylander over Johnny Goudreau every single day of the year if somebody held up both of them. Without hesitation, he's not that good without other people. and he doesn't have anybody there. The only other person he has is Laine, and Laine shoots from the point, and that's it. He needs somebody to do all the work so he can shoot from the point, and that's it. So Johnny Goudreau is a mediocre hockey player that has been benefiting from other hockey players his entire career. Prove me wrong, but that is how I feel about him.
The second you said Columbus, I knew exactly who I wanted.
That's why I teased.
Yes.
Because I knew that's who you would go to.
Eric Goudbranson.
Oh, boy.
What
30
an
years old.
overpayment for him. I can't remember. Sorry if you could hear my keyboard. It's very loud. I'm trying to look up the contract. 4 years, $4 million for what Goudbranson got. He is not worth that. Yes, he was once upon a time a third overall pick, but like,
he's 30. He hasn't done well. He's been mediocre at best. Awful. That was my first thought, and then I just thought about Johnny Goudreau.
He's not there for points, but he's not. I don't see him as that good of a defender. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but the fact that he got a over $2 million salary increase from what the Flames signed him for, that to me, that was a big L for Columbus.
Absolutely. All right, let's hammer through these next ones because we're getting close to our hour mark.
Yes, we are.
Which we did not want to do. So now we're into the way too earlies. These are way too early projections. Brian, who will win the President's Trophy? Who will win? Who will end the season with the most points?
The Leafs, because why not?
Oh, okay. So you're going to give them that curse this year. Gotcha.
Yes.
I am going to say the Avalanche because they aren't going to back-to-back. No. They aren't as good as they were last year. Then the Leafs are better. So, no. Way too early projection. Who will win the Rocket Richard? Most goals?
Matthews.
Yeah, it's going to be Matthews.
Unless he's injured. That's the only way he doesn't win it.
Yeah. I'm fully in agreement with you. Matthews, that's what he does. I should put Goudreau. I'll skip that one for now. Will any of this past year's draft class win the Calder?
No.
So the Rookie of the Year. You don't think anybody from the 2022 draft will win the Calder?
I think there's 2, maybe 3 players that'll actually play. Shane Wright, Slafkovsky, and there might be somebody. Cooley, I think, might be one of the other ones. They're going up against players that are just better, older. So the only one to me who stands a slight chance might be Shane Wright, but no.
Mason McTavish.
He's
not
that
from
year.
This year, but he's going to win it as long as he can save like he did in the Team Canada game, which was a mind-blowing move that he did. All right. Oh, I put that in the wrong one. So second last question. Who will win the Bedard lottery? Which team is going to more or less get first overall draft pick?
I think it's going to be somebody at West. I'm going to go with the Winnipeg Jets.
Ooh. I like that narrative.
There's obviously the whole locker room thing. Wheeler gets stripped of his captaincy. If they want to get rid of him, here's the thing. If they get rid of him, they have to protect their first because it'll cost a first to get rid of an $8 million 2-year deal left. They've got Hellebuck, but part of me thinks that Winnipeg is in big trouble.
I am going to go not too far from here in comparison. Maybe by comparison. I don't know. I'm just rambling. Philly.
Oh, poor Philly. Oh, God, don't go to Philly. Oh, no. Stay out of the Metro. There's enough first overall picks.
I'm just saying, you've got Sean Couturier, who might be out forever, unfortunately. He's such a good hockey player, but he's got a really messed up back, so he's pretty much done for the season. Ryan Ellis, he's done. So, and probably for his career as well. So he's gone. They had 0 offseason moves that were good. They brought in terrible people, but
and Tortorella.
Yeah, and Torts to go 1v1 every single day against Gritty, which I would honestly, that's what I would pay money to go see. Like this year, if I was going to pay money to fly to any two games, it would absolutely be Philly, because I want to see Gritty beat up John Tortorella, or vice versa, or go to Mullet Arena in Arizona and watch a game in a college stadium. Those are the two for sure I'd go to, because one, the tickets will be cheap in Philly.
They will not be cheap in Arizona. Those
No,
Arizona
those
tickets are expensive.
Well, when there's 8 seats, yeah, of course it's going to be expensive. They have to make some ridiculous amount of money. So, all right, last question. Who is going to win the Stanley Cup? The favorite right now, number 1 is Avalanche. Number 2 is Tampa. I just saw Vegas odds get posted today.
The Oilers.
Ew.
I don't want to say it, but they've got better goaltending. I hope 2 of their forwards get put on LTIR for the year. Mm-hmm. But I think that Edmonton scares the bejeebus out of me in the playoffs. For some reason, I think it's going to be a Canadian team this year. I don't know why. And I was going between Calgary and Edmonton, and something in me says Calgary can't do it this year. Back to back.
This is the year. I am putting my money on the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think this is the year.
It has to be, because their contracts are going to be up.
Exactly. There's so much on the line for the players as well as the GM. Everybody's financial well-being depends on the success of this team this year.
And not just first round.
Exactly. I am saying the Leafs are going to beat Tampa, or no, not Boston. They're not going to make it. They might make it to the playoffs, but
actually they probably will, because they're going to have Bergeron and Krejci coming back.
True. But they're going to get through the first round, and then from there they're going to be like, well, this is a cakewalk. We're good.
Oh, this is all we had to do? Okay.
Yeah. We discussed this briefly. Toronto, anybody in that division has the hardest path to the cup every single year.
Yep.
Which is why every single year for the past little while, or not every single year, but a good chunk of the year has come from that division.
If not there, it's been the Metro. Thanks, Pittsburgh.
Exactly. West Coast does not win a lot. So when you get a team like Colorado coming in and doing it, it's just wow, they were a very good team.
Yep.
Because they have an easier path. They do. My dog is barking. But plain and simple, I think that this year, the Toronto Maple Leafs will finally break both curses, and Matt Murray is going to be the key to it once again.
If their goalies work, I mean, it's not the craziest thing. Who did I put as presidents? I put the Leafs, didn't I? Yeah, I said the Leafs. So
they're going to win it all. Every single trophy will have a Toronto Maple Leaf on it. And I don't want them to. No. I want Ottawa to win this year, because I want to make bold moves like they've done.
And have it pay off. Yep.
Exactly. I want that to be the case for Ottawa. So I want them to win, but I think the Leafs are going to win.
As long as their goalies can put up 9-10s and their defense doesn't get super injured, I can honestly see it. Fun to be back doing this once again, Pat. Season 2.
Yeah. Season 2. Dose. I don't know any other. Neat.
Duh. French, like the second official language in Canada.
Oh, yeah. Well, I literally did Spanish and Japanese, so.
And for anybody who's watching this on YouTube, we did a test run on this one, so if you are a fan, we are actually live stream this one on Twitch as well. So for anybody listening, if you want to see this all go on in real time, there's no cuts or edits. It's just Pat and I and me controlling a ridiculous amount of things on my computer.
And I just sit here and make
look pretty.
Stupid, terrible takes.
With his beer belly Stein shirt.
Yeah, I found it this summer quite a bit. So hopefully that shirt is no longer true by this time next year, which probably not. It'll probably be worse. It's going to be a beer keg.
Or if the Avs don't win, Pat's like, I'm getting into shape.
Nah, that won't make me do it.
Fair enough. As Pat drinks a beer and I drink a hot chocolate during the podcast. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Season 2, hopefully back to doing them weekly, unless something comes up. It could happen. But fun to be back. And look at that, Pat, just over an hour long.
Once again, we said let's do it in 45 minutes, and it takes us 16 minutes longer.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, we will talk to everybody again next week. Thanks for tuning in. Of course, you can find us, Ice Prep Podcast, every social media that pretty much exists out there. Anything final to add, Pat?
No, just enjoy fall. I'm so excited for fall. It's like gonna be -1 here tonight, which is amazing. I cannot wait to put pants on. I am so excited. The other thing I want to do a quick shout out. It looks like, fingers crossed, I don't know, I'm probably jinxing it. I don't know what the score is, but it looks like the Toronto Blue Jays, which is also behind me on the wall, are going to be in the playoffs. So let's go Blue Jays. I went and saw a game, the one game where they got blown out 11-0. It's still fantastic. Really excited for them. Good for them. Go Bo. Let's go Bo.
Is that the rally towel from when we went to the wild card game?
It is. Yeah.
We'll have to tell that story maybe next week or the week after, because we were at a crazy game. It wasn't the bat flip game, but we were at a crazy game.
It was the second. It was probably the most recent iconic game outside of the bat flip. So excited.
We'll leave that as a teaser. Talk to everybody next time. Have a good one. And I think that's it. Say bye, Pat.
Bye-bye.